Joining us on Catholic Lunch Break is Father Cyrus Gallagher. Father Cyrus is a Capuchin Franciscan friar living in Colorado. Father Cyrus has served as a high school teacher, retreat master, vocation director. He's done it all. He's also traveled the world. He's in town in Houston this past weekend. He had visited St. Cecilia Catholic Church in Houston, letting people know about the nonprofit work that he works with, an organization called Unbound. So, Father Cyrus, thank you so much for coming in here to the studio at KSHJ.
It's good to be here.
So, Father Cyrus, I want to ask you all about this work that you do for this organization called Unbound to help the poor in Latin America, Africa, Asia. But before I get to all that, let me learn a little bit about you. How long have you been a priest now?
I was ordained 1965, so I'm celebrating 60 years.
Well, congratulations on that, by the way.
Thank
60
you.
years. That's incredible. And so a Capuchin Franciscan friar, for people who are unfamiliar with that order, tell me about it.
Well, we followed Jesus after the example of St. Francis of Assisi, and then with a reform in the 1500s, we became Capuchin because of our work with the poor and our preaching to the poor, which was specific in those days, which we try to follow as best we can today, focusing toward the gospel values of compassion for the poor. And, of course, Unbound fits into that perfectly.
Very good. So you traveled all over. Like I say, you're based in Colorado.
Yes.
But you visited a lot of places.
I've been to every state more than once, including Alaska, except the way northeast. For some reason, I've never been assigned up to Maine or New Hampshire or Connecticut. New York, yes, but no, northeast.
Not yet. I don't know. Like I said, you've been doing this a long time. You never know. Feels like that you could get a call from somewhere up there.
And I'm for it, of course. I want to go everywhere to do the good news.
Very good. Well, like I said, you've been getting the word out about Unbound, this organization that you're a part of that aims at helping the poor.
Right.
For people who are unfamiliar, tell me a little bit about it.
About Unbound?
Yes, sir.
Well, we were founded by lay people in 1981, and so we have a good history of success. We have already sponsored more than 100 million children, and we give $100,000 every year to the work that we do, primarily one-to-one, with the financial part, of course, but the major part of what we do is an alliance of friendship, that we really invite people to know who they're helping, how their help is actually benefiting them, know that they're reaching a goal together, and we stop because we do the same in the missions as we do with our own young people. We give them the best we can, the best education, the best faith experiences, and then we say, now, we brought the best out of you. Now go give good news to others by your personal relationship. So we do that in the missions as well. So when somebody reaches a goal, which for them, not for us, for them is a path towards security, then we say, go for it, and join us in our ministry of supporting the good news with other people.
This organization is particularly important to so many people in the greater Houston area because there are hundreds of people that give to Unbound in particular. I had mentioned that you were at St. Cecilia preaching during the homilies and mentioned about that as well. So then to unpack that a little bit more about where that money goes, as opposed to giving it to a government or to a certain government organization that then might have to distribute it, tell me how what Unbound does is different.
Well, people want to know this too, and I put it into my homily. I make it a very quick but clear statement that 92% or more of the contribution you give to little Jose, who's living in poverty in Bolivia, for example, goes to him. Less than 8 cents goes to getting me here, getting the folders made that we do, the supporting of our missions in Asia, Africa, so that the focus is very important to people in today's world, and I believe it. It's important. And I prove it to myself, too. But we know that Charity Navigators, Better Business Bureau, Charity Watchdog comes into our office to make sure that we're being authentic in terms of what we say and what we do.
Tell me about your interest in being involved with Unbound and helping the poor.
I got involved 16 years ago. I've been with Unbound for 16 years. And it was a brief advertisement, we've noticed in America Magazine, that said, if you have a heart for the poor, and you are able to travel on weekends, call us. That was the beginning of the process that I incredibly value now every time I go out. I'm out almost every weekend. You know, and it's like I've done more than 500 weekends with Unbound in my time with them. I've been to Houston more than 12 times because Houston, it welcomes us. Houston, of course, is not only a big country, a big state, but it's also a very generous area. And so we're very focused toward saying yes to the pastors who invite us to our ministry in their parishes.
Driving around Houston can feel like it's a big country in and of itself. I completely understand that. Like I said, you visited so many places, a lot of friendly Catholics to the work that you do. Tie this in, Father Cyrus, with the work that you do, again, to help the poor, again, Latin America, Africa, Asia, with what it means to be a priest, to be a clergy member, to be called by God to serve these people.
You know, you take it for granted till you're asked about it and you think about it. And it's really a part of our natural, spiritual, emotional being, our who we are, to be able to say, you know, the compassion for the poor, which is certainly a value of Jesus Christ, to focus on that in a way that's specific and practical and available and successful in our world today, fits with my vocation as a priest perfectly. You know, it's easy. It's easy when I go to a parish, any gospel at all that's read that Sunday. It's easy to find a reference to the poor, a desire to serve. Like last Sunday, the 72 sent out to proclaim Jesus. That's us. And so to be able to say that to people and know that's what I'm trying to do myself, to announce the good news of hope, of possibility, of support to people who are excellent in themselves, but just don't have the choices we do. Our main focus of Unbound is not to change anybody, but to allow them to have the hope and strength and possibility that is already in their hearts, but they don't have the material or economic or social resources to make it happen. They're very generous people. They are.
I'm sure in your time also with Unbound, you've had the chance to meet some of these people who are poor, who are the people who are receiving the help from Unbound. When you talk to these people, maybe they're thanking you, maybe they're grateful, maybe they're asking you for prayers. How does that feeling, what are those conversations like, and how is that feeling like for you?
Sir, it is absolutely affirming to be able to actually see the person you're sponsoring. For me to be sponsoring an elder lady in Costa Rica and to be able to have a chance to talk to her and to have some facility in Spanish to be able to talk to her in her own way, in her own language, and to know that what she's getting is asthma medicine that she wouldn't get otherwise if it were not for Unbound offering her a small cash amount each month to be able to say, I'm healthier than ever, and I'm focusing toward developing the skills and talents that the Lord gives me with my grandchildren. Mm-hmm. It's an incredible blessing. I mean, these good people profit. I profit too. I really do in terms of talking to them. And I visited all the missions, South America many times, Africa more than once, India, Asia. Mm-hmm. So, you know, that's one of the major characteristics of who we are, that we want you to know who you help. But we also have our own travel agency in Kansas City where we're focusing towards saying, we want you to visit. If you have the opportunity and the resources, we ask you to pay your own way. Mm-hmm. But when you're there, you're our guest. You don't go to a hotel or motel, you stay with us. And so that's a great movement for people. During COVID, we had to down to zero. We're bringing it back. I just came back from Costa Rica. Mm-hmm. I'm going to El Salvador. Mm-hmm. To be able to say, I know who I'm helping. I know how my help is benefiting them. And this is the goal. We're reaching it together. And our local staff does an amazing job to help people form reasonable goals mm-hmm. and then reach them. There's hardly anything beneficial more than saying, I made a goal. I reached it. I don't care if it's second grade. I made it. Okay, I'm ready for third. That's what we do with these good people.
Yeah. That's a bit unusual, I would think, for a nonprofit to actually welcome people who have donated or sponsored a person who might be in poverty, that they're actually able to go if they wanted to pay their own way and actually meet that person. That's pretty incredible. Not many nonprofits have that opportunity to offer something like that.
That's right. And we're the only nonprofit, the only agency in the church that forms a reliance and friendship with individual elders mm-hmm. to give them a life of security and dignity.
Sure. So, Father Cyrus, as I mentioned before, you're a Capuchin Franciscan friar.
Right.
There are a number of priests, Catholic priests, that help with your organization with Unbound that have also traveled, whether it's to Latin America or overseas to Africa or Asia. Are they all Capuchin Franciscan friars, or they come from all over?
We're more than 30 of us, and almost all of us are retired priests.
Okay.
So that we have the ability to be open on weekends. If we were still working in our home parish, of course we couldn't go to Omaha or to Miami on the weekend. So it's a great blessing for me once I retired at 75 to be able to say, no, I'm open. I have weekends open. I'll go anywhere, anytime, to follow through with the compassion that's already part of my life, but now focused in a special way for an agency formed by lay people with Catholic values to be able to say, here we are, doing the best work we can in a new way.
When you talk with some of those other priests or the lay people who help organize everything, what do you hear from them as to why they joined Unbound or why they donated their time or volunteered their time? What is it that attracts them to it?
You know, people begin generally by hearing, okay, this fits me at a gospel message and during church. In my case, there's other options too, but they hear something echoing in their heart. And then whenever they start, it's incredible when I go to visit a parish where I've been before, like St. Cecilia, people are coming up to me saying, this is the best ministry I've ever been in. This is the best thing that gives me a deeper sense of faith and hope and love in my heart. And many times you don't want to do this, but we're focusing on getting other people to help with. Focus on the table. Let these people choose a child or an elder to sponsor, rather than showing them the pictures that you have, that you received, and the letters that you got, and the story that you have. It's mixed blessing to be able to say we're so successful with people.
Very good, very good. So let me go back then for a second. I just want some practical advice from you now, Father Cyrus. Again, you've been a priest now 60 years plus.
Yes.
And you're going on the weekends, traveling all over the United States. Like I said, you've been Latin America and overseas before. How do you do it? You drink a lot of water? Do you exercise, walk a lot? What is the secret here?
I've always been a healthy fellow. I've always walked. I used to run. Now, not any longer. I kind of jog, walk when I'm home. I'm home only Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday.
Okay.
I'm traveling. Friday is a travel day. Saturday, Sunday, I'm at the weekend. Monday is a travel day, like today. I'm going home, and then I'll have tomorrow, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, to do my regular exercise. So I run 3 miles a day. And, my health is good. I have no diabetes. I have no issues. So I'm thinking I'm going to do this another 10 years. I'm 88. And so,
wow. Let me just stop that for a second. You're 88 years old.
I am.
You look fantastic, Father Cyrus, and sound fantastic for 88. I hope to sound as good and be as good in shape when I'm 88 years old. Look
Thank
as good
you.
as you.
Yeah. It's a great blessing.
Yes.
And I do love to travel. People hate airports. I love airports. They're like grid points on the universe. People are happy or sad or bored or upset or concerned. So I'll be at the airport this afternoon for 5 hours. It's not a problem.
Well, I think even being at the airport is an opportunity for evangelization, right?
Well, for the most part, no. I'd really try to be honest because it's a downtime for me.
Okay.
Not to be noticed as a priest and not to wear my religious Capuchin habit so that I can kind of just fade in with everybody else and take a deep breath.
Okay. I got you. Yes, because I say you got a lot of places to go, a lot of people to see. Very good. As we wrap up this interview, Father Cyrus, again, I want to go back to the message of Christ and something. Obviously, people can pray for the ministry work that you do, for all of your traveling. But as we reflect on the poor, and the marginalized in our society and all over the world, what would be your advice for how people should pray? What should they say to Christ? Particular devotions, readings, anything like that comes to mind?
Well, all of us do our best prayers from our own personalities and our own experience. To be able to say, begin with your own needs, begin with your own gratitude, and allow the situation then to develop into whatever petitions you might need. But for the most part, we need to look seriously at our lives in terms of gratitude. Praying gratitude and praise is really the best of all. And to be able to recognize that brings the best out of us and allows us then to move forward in doing more and more of the Lord's work in a healthy, successful manner.
It's a great piece of advice, always beginning prayer with gratitude for what we have and what God has given to us.
Right.
Very good. Excellent. For people who want to learn more about the organization, the nonprofit called Unbound, Father, what's the website?
Unbound.org. It's very simple and straightforward. That organization tells that website tells us who we are and what we do, but it also then gives people of goodwill to be able to say, here's a picture of a child living in poverty. You can help this person, or an elder. So it's not only who we are, it's an openness and an option for them to be able to say, I'll give this a try.
Yeah. There's also, of course, by the way, pictures of yourself and the other priests who also participate in everything, too.
Absolutely.
If people want to learn more about yourself.
Right.
Very
That's
good.
right.
Excellent. So, again, unbound.org is the website. Well, again, we'll continue to pray for all of the, I would say, evangelization work that you do and all the work that you do to help the poor and obviously get the message out to so many Catholic churches across the United States. Again, Father Cyrus Gallagher, Capuchin Franciscan friar, and who helps with Unbound. Again, unbound.org. Father Cyrus, thank you so much for your time.
Well,
we really
thank
appreciate
you too. It's a great blessing, this ministry you have of making the good news available on the airwaves.
Well, it is a blessing. It's great to have you on, and we're also giving thanks to God for your ability to be here and to voice a little bit about your time and your experience.
Thank you, Wyatt. Okay.